I am Councillor Green and I will chair the subcommittee for this meeting. I would like to first introduce the members of the subcommittee along with me this evening. On my left is Councillor Salmons and on my right is Councillor Heath. Also in attendance we have our licensing officers Liz Cox and Paula Parrott, legal advisor Godwin Manguise and clerk Kenna Henley. And while we're on that, I just would like everyone else, would you be able to introduce yourselves?
Zach Byrne, Environmental Health.
Thank you, sir. And would you be able to introduce yourself, please, sir?
Abdul Bashir, owner of Desi Asia.
Thank you, sir. And would you be able to introduce yourself, please?
Mina Sone from 57 North Road.
Thank you. So I'll just move on. So item 1 on the agenda is apologies. I have received no apologies this evening. Item 2 on the agenda, urgent business. I have not been advised of any urgent business this evening. Item 3 on the agenda is declaration of interest. Can I please invite members of the subcommittee to declare any items of declaration? That is no items of declaration this evening. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is determination of an application to vary a premises licence. Before we go on, I'd like to explain the process of this evening's hearing. Firstly, the licensing officer will present their report. Following this, members and all relevant parties here will have the opportunity to ask any questions they may have. Then each party will be given the opportunity to give their case. This is also followed by questions from members and all parties. Once everyone has presented their case, all parties will have time to give a closing summary, with the licence holder, Mr. Bashir, having the final say. The subcommittee will then retire to consider its decision and will be accompanied by the clerk and legal advisor. Does anybody have any questions? Fantastic. And is there any do any of the parties here have any further requests? No? Thank you. I would now like to start by asking the licensing officer to present the factual report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. An application was received to vary the premises licence for the Desi Asia restaurant at 59 Orsett Road, Grays. Representations were received from Environmental Protection and a local resident. On the 19th of November, the application was received and was submitted by Mr. Bashir as the licence holder. The application is to update the layout plan of the premises as an extension has been built to the front of the existing premises. The application does not seek to change any of the existing licensable activities. A copy of the full application and supporting documentation is Appendix 1, the current licence Appendix 2 and a map of showing where it is Appendix 3. The premises is currently authorised for live and recorded music and the supply of alcohol for consumption on the premises Monday to Thursday 10 a.m. to midnight, Friday and Saturday 10 till 1:30 and Sunday midday to 11:30 p.m. During the statutory consultation, a representation was received from a local resident, which is attached to Appendix 4, which is at page 39. At 2.5 of the report lists some conditions that were initially proposed by Environmental Protection. During the whole process, before we've got to this point, they've had a lot of negotiations and have replaced some other conditions, which I believe Mr. Bashir has agreed to. Those parties will be able to explain that a little bit better in a minute. I've got copies of the new conditions if anyone needs them. Did you need a copy of those? Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. So what is attached at Appendix 5 is now no longer relevant. It's been replaced with this document. During the consultation period, Simon Barnes from Essex Police also agreed some conditions that will be imposed on the licence if the variation is granted. I won't seek to read them all out. They are listed at 2.6 of the report. Mr. Bashir has accepted those conditions during the consultation period, and that is attached to Appendix 6. No representations were received from any other responsible authorities. Under the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Any representations must relate to the particular premises and must be relevant to the promotion of at least one of those licensing objectives. Following hearing everyone's materials and evidence this evening, the following options are available to the Licensing Subcommittee. To grant the variation as applied for, to grant the variation subject to such conditions as are necessary and proportionate to promote the licensing objectives, or to refuse the application. The application must be determined within 5 working days of the conclusion of this hearing, in accordance with paragraph 26 of the Licensing Act 2003 Hearings Regulations 2005. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions of the licensing officer? I'll just have one. In your knowledge, have we ever had any complaints from this applicant's restaurant?
I believe there's been noise complaints and there has been some other sort of ongoing antisocial behaviour complaints. I think the other parties will be best placed to answer those with their evidence, if that's okay.
That's perfect, thank you. Does Environmental Health have any questions of the licensing officer? Thank you. Does the residents have any... Do you have any questions of our licensing officer? Thank you. Mr. Bashir, would you have any questions? No, thank you. Okay, I would now like to move on to the Environmental Protection Officer to present his report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm here representing my colleague, Mr. Anthony Barlow, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. So I apologise for any lapse in the chronology. I'll do my best to answer any questions as I've been briefed by him on the situation as it stands. I would say the crux of it for us is we've had, since tail end of autumn last year, about 9 complaints come in relating to loud music from DESI. On 6 of those occasions, officers witnessed loud music affecting a complainant's property. And the updated conditions that Mr. Bashir has agreed to, we believe adequately address the issues, but the main one obviously is the installation of a noise limiting device. With that, I think, and as Mr. Bashir has agreed with Mr. Barlow, I think that covers most of our concerns, as do the other 4 conditions we've imposed as well.
Does any members have any questions? Any questions? No. So I just would like to ask one question. On the original document, it said that music on the weekends until 11 o'clock. The new document says until 12:30, 1 o'clock. What's the change if the original restrictions you did negotiate were basically similar?
Sorry. The officer that originally drafted this, I think it was a bit confused. We've got the live music and regulated entertainment exemptions, so they can have that without the licence until 11 p.m. anyway. Because the application isn't seeking to change the hours, it's the layout is what we're determining, so you can't pull the hours back because that's not what the application is for. So that's why that bit was revised.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Any questions? No. Does the licensing officer have any questions of environmental health? Thank you. Does the residents? Do you have any questions? If it's the conditions in the paper you was given, you're more than welcome. If you just put on your mic for me and bring it down a little bit, please.
Yeah, is this okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Well, with all the conditions, I'm fine. It's just that they will change the closing business operation hours until 1 a.m. Like, are they like reducing it to 1 a.m. instead of 1:30? Or am I not? Yeah, number 5.
Could you answer that, please, for us, nice Elizabeth?
Yes. Apologies, I didn't see sight of these conditions until this morning as well because I've been on leave. Yeah, so I believe Mr Bashir said he was willing to pull the hours back. As far as I'm aware, you might be able to take additional legal advice on it because that's not what the application is for. It may be possible to restrict the hours of usage of the extension area because that's what the application is for. But for the whole premises, I think God would be able to give you some further advice on that, as we're about pulling the entire hours back.
Okay. Can we suspend this meeting for 5 minutes while I seek advice from legal, please? Thank you for that, and apologies for that quick recess. I just want to make it clear to everyone in the room, we are here about the new extension. These restrictions will be for this new extension, not the old building. Is everyone okay with this? You may continue.
Okay. So basically, about what I was talking about earlier, the main concern is after customers like leave the premises, because obviously operation hours are over, so they have to leave. Sometimes the customers are like really drunk or intoxicated, so sometimes they will like be outside, standing on our premises, shouting and talking, because you know how when you're drunk you can't control it, so that would affect us from like quality of life as well, because technically we can't sleep if someone's shouting outside, and I feel like 1 a.m. is still really late, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's our main part of concern.
Thank you. Can you switch off the mic if you finish? Thank you. Is there anything environmental health or environment the officers would like to add?
Unfortunately, any sort of public disorder in the street are outside of my remit, so I can't comment on that. We're here to just... Our primary concern was noise from inside the premises, which is why we've conditioned the noise limiter.
Thank you. Mr Bashir, would you like to ask any questions of environmental health? Fantastic, thank you. We now move on over to you as the local residents. Is there anything else you'd like to add and present why you're objecting, please?
Let me ask her, because I'm just translating. No, she just said the main problem is the closing hours and how it just affects the sleep, because we don't really get enough of sleep because of that, because of music, all the shouting and singing. So we're okay with these conditions apart from the closing hours. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I'm not sure what you call them, but like party poppers, like the ones when you make a noise when you blow through. Yeah, that is really loud as well, and sometimes they will be using that, so that adds onto the noise nuisance as well. And the walls are really thin, so it's not like the walls are not soundproof, and I think the environmental officer has been inside the premises, so they know that, pretty sure.
然后我的房间很小，卧室很小，隔音不好，他知道。
That was what? Yeah, that's about it. Sorry.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions? Does the licensing officer have any questions? Environmental health, do you have any questions? Mr. Bashir, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, please, sir.
Okay, so I've been in the area for 15 years, running Desi for the last 15 years. So even I've been doing live entertainment for the last 15 years. My neighbor, who also owned the Chinese, they'd made a choice of living above the shop. They knew that we do live acts on weekends. 90% of my customers on weekends with any hospitality industry look forward for entertainment. So as of autumn, obviously, my neighbor is not happy with our extension of improvement.
Sorry, sir, do you have any
Yeah.
questions for the residents? You will get a chance to say already.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do you have any questions?
To the questions, obviously I object to what they're saying because I've been doing this for the 15 years that I'm running the restaurant for.
Okay.
But for them to just come and say about noise complaint as of autumn because of my extension to the premises, which is, what I would say is, I don't know.
Okay, we'll make it it's a bit this way. We'll finish questions there if no one's got any questions of residents, and I'll let you continue with making your statement and why we should go your way. If you want to continue, Mr. Bashir. Thank you.
Okay, so like I said, we've been running this business for the 15 years. We've always implemented live entertainment on weekends, on Friday and Saturday. It's a shame that we're going through this stage now because we've been neighbours for over 10 years. They run the takeaway downstairs and they live above the shop. I would actually understand if it was actual residents who are within the 100 meters perimeter of the complaints we're getting. But because it's one person who has a grudge against us, and we are going through legal courts at the moment for harassment, racial abuse, and assault to my staff. That's all scheduled for 17th of February, as they have been charged 3 accounts. So we didn't want to get to this stage where it's affecting my livelihood, my business, and a lot of stress, because we just want to move on as a business, and it's very difficult to run a hospitality business as we speak. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bashir. Does any members have any questions? Okay, I'd like to ask, you've got your new extension. So is it just a door into the new extension then into the restaurant?
It's a very fancy veranda, I would say. It's more of an enclosed veranda with bifold windows and canopy style. So during the summer, the whole concept of this veranda was for more of a al fresco dining on when it's during summertime. And because we are just a 50-seater restaurant, and we, like I said, we're very popular in the area, and the demand of customers, rejecting customer on weekends, we had to get the permission from the council to extend to fit at least another 20 seats, and it's massively helped us. In that sense, we needed the space. And from that end, I think the objection came from the neighbour because we put the planning in, and this is where the complaints are coming from because of the extension that we've made.
Okay, sir. So with that in mind, and obviously the restrictions, and thank you for agreeing to the restrictions that put down by environmental health. You just said that it's like good for the summertime, and are you planning to leave all the doors and windows open during the summertime?
Only during the day. That will be open because obviously sometimes if we do get wonderful weather, nice, a lot of people would like to dine in somewhere enclosed, but some windows open, So during the day on Sundays we are normally open lunchtime. So if someone just comes in for a coffee and they just want to sit outside in the sun, why not? But as we speak, we're using it as more of a dining area to give another additional 20 people capacity within the premises. But they are closed at all times during this sort of weather. It's never open.
And they will still remain closed during acts and entertainment periods?
We don't want to go overboard with the music or anything like that, no.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions? Any questions from the licensing officers? Environmental? From the residents? Do you have any questions?
Can we make a response to that statement?
Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to, but if you have any questions, that will be fine.
We don't have questions. We just want to make like a response to the statement.
Not at this time.
Okay, that's
Thank
fine.
you. I would now like to ask the licensing officer to summarise their case.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, you've heard from all the parties present here this evening about the application and contents, as well as the potential impact on the parties' lives and businesses. So it is now for the committee to determine the best course of action for the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the Environmental Protection Officer like to summarise his case?
Thank you, Chair. As I stated in my opening, we've agreed 5 conditions with Mr. Bashir, and we believe that these are adequate to address the issues we have with noise from amplified sound at the premises. It does not exclude the potential of action being taken in the future, but with the installation of a noise limiting device, it does make any potential issues that arise in the future much easier to work out with the applicant in an amicable way that everyone wins, essentially. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the residents, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Basically, because as Abdul said, they've opened this business for 15 years. We've kept it up, like, because we were all good terms, right? So obviously you want to be on good terms with your neighbor, so we kept it in for a long time until recently we fell out. In regards to the assault and racially attack that he mentioned, that's to do with the police matters. My mom hasn't been charged with anything. Like, they haven't said that she's guilty of it, but this all began because of the noise nuisance. How my mom confronted him about it, and then he made a false claim. But like I said, it's to do with the police matters. It has nothing to do with, the council. So I just feel like it's unfair. So this is what 警察嘛，
可以说你跟他讲。
对，我跟他说了。
对啊，然后我现在身体出现了问题，因为我的年纪的问题，我烦躁，我睡不着，我控制不住脾气，我现在要吃药。
Have you got anything else to add?
就是我妈妈长期这样音乐影响，让她身体出现了问题。
No.
And I'd just like to add, before we go to yourself, Mr. Bashir, is the what was mentioned about the police action will not be coming into our deliberations, because that is a separate matter not to be discussed here today. Is that okay with everyone? Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Bashir, would you like to summarise, please?
As I said, we've been doing this for 15 years. It's unfortunate, the neighbour has a grudge now as we speak. Did I have an issue for the last 15 years? And in regard to the 3 accounts of charges, it was the actual customer. We had a bingo night. We do a lot of charity nights in the restaurant, and it was a large majority of the customers were African descent. There's video footage. Our customer was the one who called the police on Mrs. Fang regarding the racial abuse. But apart from that, we just want to move on as a business and carry on as we was. And that's
Okay,
it.
thank you. And just that bit, what you said, we wouldn't be taking that into our deliberations. Everything in regarding to the licensing law will be deliberated. With that said, has everybody said everything they'd like to say?
One more thing. Because it's been 50 years, it still doesn't justify the noise nuisance. Like, you shouldn't be making loud music, loud shouting to affect someone's sleep anyways. So what does that have to do with noise nuisance?
We'll leave that there. I understand this is a emotive subject, but we will be using everything within our within the rules and regulations with our legal advisor with us.
Okay.
With that being said, you always get the last say. Mr. Bashir, would you like to say anything else?
Sure, thank you. The last things I would say is, as a business, we do require, like I said, we never really actually had problems with residents. You know, like I said, it's unfortunate. Just immediate next door neighbor who lives and works in the restaurant. You can't expect everyone else to be closing at the time you close at 10 p.m. or whatever time you want to run. But moving forward, I've agreed to the conditions. We want a clean slate, you know. We just want to move on, and I want to be in this business for another 15 years. So, and the main thing is, you know, just making it easy for everyone, and then not going back and forth with everything that's going on now.
Thank you, Mr. Bashir. If that's everything from everybody, we will end it there. The subcommittee will now retire to consider its decision and will be accompanied by the clerk and our legal advisor to the subcommittee. We'll be back shortly. Thank you. Thank you all for waiting. Could I please ask the legal advisor to give the decision of the subcommittee's deliberations?
Thank you, Chair. So the decision of the subcommittee, I haven't heard the application and the representation by the applicant and the licensing officer and the interested person, is to grant the application for variation subject to the 5 conditions agreed on the 3rd of February 2025. So a detailed decision letter will follow. Parties are open to appeal this decision within 21 days if they so desire to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the applicant for their attendance this evening and everyone else. Thank you for everyone for attending this evening. That concludes the business of the meeting, and I now declare the meeting closed at 19:44. Thank you.